This is the After Party, live with Kim McAllister. Pick a couch, grab a drink, and settle into the conversation.
Oh, another Monday here on the After Party Live. My hair's all messed up. Wait, hold on. That will never do. All right. Okay. No, it's still not right. Whatever. Hey, everybody. Thank you for being here on the After Party Live Status Post Mark Thompson Show. It's nice to have you along, and thank you for your patience as well. We'll talk about the fish. ER wonders if Kim can change the settings so the live chat can replay if people watch this show later. The Mark Thompson Show and most other live YouTube shows do this. You know, it's interesting that you say this, Eeyore, because I have tried to do this and I don't know what's wrong. I even had super special tech people look into it. And I can say that what we have figured out as a group is that the day after the chat appears, sometimes the day of it appears and sometimes it doesn't. And I don't know why. It's intermittent and I'm not sure. Really, really weird. But I appreciate the comment. And if I can figure out what in the world is causing it, then I would definitely love the chat to appear because that's the fun of the show, right? So yeah. Taking a page, says Chris from Menlo. From KQED, dollar for dollar challenge day. Every dollar people donate via super chat or super sticker, I'll match up to $100. Offer expires before the credits roll. Chris from Menlo Park. That is incredible. So if you contribute via YouTube, super chat, super sticker, is that what you're talking about? Yeah. Wow, well, that's really generous. So today's the day to contribute. If you would like to contribute and be part of the crowdfunding of this show, Chris's incredibly generous offer makes this a perfect day to do so. So you can do that here. You can also contribute via PayPal, but I don't think that would match. Chris would match that. So Wes says, okay, I'll super sticker today. Yeah, you are awesome, Chris. What a crazy, wonderful thing to do. We appreciate it. I appreciate it very much so. Rev with a peace and a love, and I love it. All right. Well, we don't have a lot of time, so let's get into some of these stories. Plus, my hair is bothering me, and I don't want to look at myself on the screen anymore. No. Let's talk about this giant goldfish. They're calling it the Megalodon. Yeah. Look at that goldfish. Is that the craziest thing you've ever seen? I'll fix my hair while you look at that picture. This goldfish was pulled from a waterway in Pennsylvania. Now, I thought Presqu'île was in Michigan. They must have more than one Presqu'île. Perhaps they have something to do with each other. I don't know. But this is from a waterway in Pennsylvania. They find this crazy big. Let me take this comment down so you can see the full fish. You can see it's bigger than this man's hand. Okay. They're calling it the Megalodon. That's how big this guy is. He's a big one. And what they think is somebody likely had this as a pet goldfish and just dumped it into a waterway. And it grew and it grew and it grew. So, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service is now reminding pet owners, listen, don't release your goldfish into waterways because this can happen. And what they say is, this is your goldfish after 2 years in the wild. Call me Megalodon. They said these fish can turn lakes and waterways into murky messes. They can steal food from native fish and they can wreck the water quality. So just don't do it. They say these goldfish can start out small, but they can become a very big problem, as you can see here, very quickly. The quote is from the U.S. Department of Fish and Wildlife, one goldfish might not seem like a big deal, but they multiply fast. Goldfish spawn several times a season, and because they have no natural predators in most American waters, their populations explode. And there you go. That's crazy. I don't think I've ever seen a bigger goldfish. It's massive. Yeah, they're calling it the Megalodon. He can still hold it in his hand, so I guess that's pretty good. We had goldfish in a tank. One was called Pumpkin. I had a goldfish named Pumpkin for a while. Then Pumpkin died. I had to run out and get a replacement goldfish and at the crack of dawn before anyone knew Pumpkin had croaked. I forget what the next one was named. because we knew that it wasn't pumpkin anymore. That was figured out. And these goldfish were pretty big, but man, that's wild. All right, you guys are contributing, and I just have to thank you so much. First of all, Wes, with this $5 super sticker, so nice. I just so appreciate it. You guys are awesome. Um, Throwing down $2, Gordon coming in. And that's the thing. It doesn't have to be this amazing, humongous amount. I consider $2 to be amazing. That you like the show and want to participate and want to crowdfund it with $2 or $20. It's all welcome. SJ Lola with a 20. Here's to Kim and Chris. Yeah, Chris from Menlo. Also, Jim with $5. Thank you, Jim. Doug McNeely with 20. Thank you. Mo Direct with 1. See, that's all it takes. Just so appreciate that. And 1 becomes 2. Luis with $5. You go, Chris. Also, the award for the favorite McAllister goes to. I'll take it. Thank you for that award. I like it. At least I'm somebody's favorite, Luis. I love it very much. So thank you. Keep those contributions coming. Cindy coming in with $5 as well. I feel like I'm on a telethon today, but hey, Chris from Menlo Park says he'll match the contributions up to 100. So that's really, really nice. Let's see. Oh, look at this. Rev P. Much love, Kimmy. We sure do need a break from all the damaging drama. Love to the after party family. Yeah, thank you very much for the comment and for the contribution. Really appreciate that. Cindy, I'm not sure if that's the same one or a different one, but thank you. Northern Tier coming in with 5. Love the show. You guys are making me feel so good. I love that you love this show. Thank you. It's kind of a quirky little show, isn't it? But I like it too. And Blue Spark with 5. Thank you, guys. I don't know, what is someone keeping the count of the total for Chris and Menlo? Thank you very much. All right, let's move on to other stories as you guys consider whether or not you're going to contribute. Look at this. Ooh, what is happening here? Something has emerged from the deep. And it is this ancient Roman villa that has popped up out of Lake Fusaro in Italy. This remains of what was once, they think, a luxurious Roman villa have arisen from the waters of Lake Fusaro near Naples. This phenomenon is being attributed to this really weird phenomenon called bradyseism. It's a geological process brought about by movements of magma or hydrothermal fluids beneath the Earth's surface. So it causes things to lower and it causes things to rise. And whatever's happening in the surface of at the bottom of the lake has pushed these ancient ruins up to the point where you can now see them. The lake is known for its geological volatility. It's part of the Phlegraean Fields, which is this huge volcanic caldera dotted with volcanic structures. This bradyseism has affected this region for centuries. The ground levels rise and fall periodically due to these subsurface magma movements. Since 2005, the land in this area has risen by about 138 centimeters, including 20 centimeters in 2024. That according to a study done by the National Institute of Geophysics and Volcanology. The uplift has led to the retreat of the shoreline and the elevation of the seabed, which, while it's not good for the local ports and marinas, has uncovered the foundation of this Roman villa. It was previously submerged beneath the waters of this lake. The villa identified through aerial photography, it is now under the examination by archaeologists. They say this is a really significant discovery. They were all underwater, the walls, the rooms of this Roman era discovered in Lake Fusaro. They probably belonged to a luxurious mansion, according to the mayor of the nearby town there. He said he speculated the building presumably had thermal baths, a feature of elite Roman residences. So, pretty cool. This area has been known for a long time for its Roman heritage. They have the partially submerged ruins underneath the water of this ancient Roman resort town that prospered during the late Republic and early Empire. It was famous for its opulent villas and lavish lifestyle. They call it a vortex of luxury. So to see it pop back up, that's pretty cool. Really, really cool. Like the newly revealed villa, they say this statue. I'll show you the statue. I hadn't intended to, but now I have to show it to you because it's really cool. The statue was also something that I don't want to say suffered the effects of Bradyism, but was under the effects of it being risen and lowered due to what was happening at the bottom of the lake. So here it is. Look what else they found. Here it is. I have it. Pretty cool. The statues you can see underwater. Yeah. This is a statue called Bay, Baiae, Bay. Yeah, it suffered from Bradyism in ancient times, but in a descending phase as the land lowered, much of the statue was completely submerged in the waters of the Gulf of Naples. Today, its submerged ruins are a major archaeological attraction. There are mosaics and statues that are still visible underwater in this area. So, that's pretty cool. It's all a whim, right? Okay, you guys, I have to go and do and talk about the contributions to the show. So I have Marilyn who gave a couple bucks. Marilyn also gave $5. Marilyn from Nevada. Hey, right up the road, right up 101. Hi, Marilyn. And I guess we've hit it because Chris from Menlo Park throwing in $100. We love you. We love the show. Thank you so much. You guys, this is truly, I'm not going to cry moment, but I feel like it. What an incredibly wonderful surprise that you guys did this today and that you want to keep the show going and that you like it so much. Thank you. Thank you. Wow. Just what a wonderful, wonderful thing to do. I feel like Lawrence Welk. Wonderful, wonderful. But thank you very much for that. Really, really nice. Okay. Oh, look at SJ Lola and Jim. Oh, you guys are awesome. All right. We'll go over it again at the end, but let's go to some more of these stories because time is a ticking. So we go from that story to how about the story about narwhals? Gotta love a narwhal, right? Yeah. And I'll talk about this again at the end because that's just such a big deal, Chris, and everyone that contributed that I want to make sure that you understand how grateful, how much it means. So the researchers say drone footage is essential in studying these narwhals and other sea creatures because they've now figured out things and seen these narwhals do things that they could not have imagined. They thought that the size of the tusk at the pointy end of the narwhal were used mostly for mating, for attracting mates, that type of thing. But these narwhals have been spotted using tusks for non-mating fun too. The tusk can grow up to 10 feet long. Now, uh, it looks like these narwhals have been seen using the tusks to forage, to explore their surroundings, and even to play. This out of a study published February 28th, so Friday, in the journal Frontiers in Marine Science. The scientists say these narwhals are known for their tusking behavior, where two or more of them simultaneously raise their tusks vertically out of the water, kind of crossing them in what may be a ritualistic behavior to assess a potential opponent's qualities or display those qualities to potential mates. But now he says they know what narwhal tusks that they have other uses as well, and some of them are really unexpected, including foraging and exploring things and also playing around as well. They know this because an international team of researchers in the Arctic used drones. And for the first time, they have evidence of narwhals using their tusks to investigate, manipulate, and influence the behavior of a fish called the Arctic char. They use their tusks to hit the fish with such force that the fish are stunned and possibly killed. They didn't know the tusks were used for this. So, uh, They also saw a food thief situation between a narwhal, a fish, and some seabirds. They saw the first evidence of likely play in narwhals as well. They observed this play called exploratory object play. During this type of play, animals handle an object as a way to learn, kind of like human babies stack blocks together or dogs and cats play with toys. This is exploratory object play. They also show evidence of social learning, social instruction, and personality differences among individual narwhals. So, pretty cool that drones could lead us to this place. So, I have pictures next of these giraffes, and they might be difficult to look at. These giraffes, this giraffe, has been spotted with a bunch of bumps all over it. Not fatal, giraffe's going to be okay. They think it might be a papillomavirus, which is interesting because they haven't necessarily seen this on giraffes before. This giraffe covered in unusual bumps was spotted in Kruger National Park by a wildlife photographer. The giraffe has been spotted with what they think might be a type of papillomavirus. It's covered in skin nodules all over its head, neck, and body. Still eating, still living, still having fun, still doing its thing. But the researchers are looking at these pictures thinking there might be, but there are many types of papillomavirus affecting each of their own species. There's a cow variation as well. And it may be that that is what is affecting this giraffe. It also has been seen in horses as well. It's not thought to be life threatening. There isn't a treatment for it in this case, but they think that it spread either via direct contact between giraffes or via birds. The birds remove the ticks and other parasites from the skin of giraffes, but they might also inadvertently spread the disease between individuals as well. So it isn't the first time that a giraffe has been seen with these types of symptoms. But before they euthanized the giraffes because they didn't want this to spread. Now they think it's not life threatening. There are no plans to euthanize this giraffe. They are monitoring it closely, but they're not going to do that. So he's just wandering around like this. It may be a little disturbing, but I think important to know that happens. Let's move to this story about computer fiber. Yeah, this is another creation. This one came out of MIT. Researchers creating this thin, flexible fiber computer and weaving it into clothing, which means perhaps there's a potential alternative to current wearable electronics. This is created by fibers at MIT lab, the computer made up of a series of minute devices, sensors, a microcontroller, digital memory, a battery, all in these microfibers stretched out to create a single elastic fiber. Several of these fiber computers were mixed with traditional fibers to create a top and leggings as well. Then the articles of clothing were used to analyze movement, and in the next stage of testing, they'll be incorporated into base layers worn by the US Army and Navy service on a real-world Arctic research mission. The fiber computer will monitor the service members' health on the 30-day mission where they will be exposed to extreme cold. And the hopes may be that doing this will allow them to prevent injury. So the hope is that the fiber computer is more geared to this kind of task than conventional wearables because it's distributed over the body rather than in one single spot, like wearing a watch on your wrist or on your chest. Our bodies, they say, broadcast gigabytes of data through the skin every second in the form of heat, sound, biochemicals, electropotentials, and light, all of which carry information about our activities, our emotions, and our health. Unfortunately, most, if not all of it, gets absorbed and lost in the clothes we wear. And for this reason, the researchers said they want the clothes themselves to do the work of capturing, analyzing, storing, and communicating that data. So someday we could all be wearing clothes that send messages to some medical center somewhere telling them whether we're healthy or not. Actually, it probably won't be a medical center, right? It'll be a supercomputer in the sky. I wanted to show you this video because it's, I think, super incredible. It is about a rower that left California and was headed to Australia and came into some pretty sketchy weather and had to be rescued. This stranded rower was rescued off the coast of Australia, so almost made it. And here is, look at those waves. So the rower was in an encased, specialized rowboat. And look at that rescue. That looks pretty complicated. Yeah. The rower was caught in this monsoon, taken aboard the Royal Australian Navy landing ship, treated, and everything looks to be okay. But that was quite the rescue. So wanted to throw that in there. Let's talk about this one. This is a very first vehicle. Look at this. Is that a first vehicle? I guess that's what it's being called. The very first vehicle. And we know this because of, and this is obviously a rendering of it, archaeologists uncovered 22,000-year-old tracks in New Mexico at White Sands National Park in New Mexico. It suggests that prehistoric humans used primitive transport technology more than 20,000 years ago. They know this because they found these drag marks next to ancient human footprints, showing the earliest evidence of how early North American settlers moved heavy loads before they even invented the wheel. I have other pictures, and they're interesting. Here's the tracks they found. I mean, come on. And here's the drag marks they found. Yeah. The very first tracks. I don't know if you call that, I guess you call it a vehicle. I would more call it a moving tool. But I guess if you're using it to take things from one place to another, then it becomes a vehicle. Researchers from Bournemouth University published a study in Quaternary Science Advances, documenting a series of parallel and single drag line marks preserved in dried mud covered by sediment. They are believed to have been left by travois, a simple transport device made of two wooden poles tied together. Indigenous groups across North America used the travois to carry goods throughout history, and this new find suggests this technology existed thousands of years earlier than they previously thought. Researchers like Professor Bennett here say, we know that our earliest ancestors must have used some form of transport to carry their possessions as they migrated around the world, but evidence in the form of wooden vehicles would have rotted away. The drag marks, they said, give us the first indication of how they moved bulky and heavy loads around before wheeled vehicles existed. Now, they say the track lengths vary, some up to 50 meters, 165 feet. Researchers identified two main types of marks: a single line from two poles joined at one end, and two parallel lines created by an X-shaped travois. The footprints alongside those marks hint that humans, not animals, were the ones pulling them. Children's footprints often appear near the drag marks, suggesting they walked beside adults, similarly to how families today move together while they are carrying loads as well. So, they say many people will be familiar with pushing a shopping trolley around a supermarket, moving from location to location with children hanging on. This appears to be the ancient equivalent, but without the wheels. And they checked the findings. They built replicas, dragged them across mud flats in the UK and on the Maine coast here in America. The test showed the mud marks resembled the fossilized dragging marks at White Sands. Pretty cool. This White Sands spot, they keep finding more and more stuff there. At every discovery, according to one of the co-authors of the study, at White Sands, that adds to our understanding of the lives of the first people to settle in the Americas. These were people with the first migrants to travel to North America. Understanding more about how they moved around is vital to telling their story. That's pretty cool. That at White Sands, they found human footprints that go back 23,000 years. So that means the timeline of when humans settled here is thousands of years earlier than previously thought. I thought that was pretty cool. So that's what it would have looked like. These sticks to move stuff. Yep. How about we take a little moment before we go to our cave? And I've been meaning to get to look at these with you for a few days, and I keep pushing it off because I'm like, oh, do we really want to look at houses? Why don't we? These are the 10 most innovative and contemporary houses as reported by Dezeen. And I thought they were kind of interesting. So, again, the 10 most innovative and contemporary houses. And I would love to see your opinions. This is the first one. It's called Casa Canil. I think it's pretty interesting looking. This house is the name is related to a Mayan astrological sign representing the seed of life, creation, beginning, and growth. The architect designing this house said it's like the planting of a seed which gives rise to a structure born out of the earth. Rather than imposing a form, he seeks integration and sustainability. This next one I thought was pretty cool. You tell me the one you want to live in the most. This one kind of looks like the dinosaur house on the peninsula here in the Bay Area, only white. It's kind of cool looking. This one is called Yuputira, and it's in Japan. The house inspired by the organic form of coral cobblestones on the seashore and a cave, a primal home where one would be protected from the power of nature. Yuputira meant to reflect and harmonize with the surrounding landscape. And that it does. This one is called Peninsula, and it is in Greece. You see it there. Oh, so pretty. Although it's on the edge of a cliff, and it always makes me nervous. Part of an ongoing effort to build luxury homes on former military training grounds, the island of Antiparos. This generous reinforced concrete house has self-supporting natural stone facades. They say it was completed within a 13-month schedule with a local architect. This next one is called Suspension House. I don't know if I'm living in Suspension House. You know, the Californian in me is always a little worried about earthquakes, and this one looks like it's not so stable. They say making use of an existing structure and taking into account California laws that no longer allow for homes to be suspended over creeks, the designer was obliged to follow the exact outline of an existing two-story 1970 house and its decks. A new structural system was anchored into the hillside. That one's not for me. It's pretty, but I'm always going to be worried that it's going to tip over. This one looks a bit cartoonish, I think. Interesting though. It is called Casa Neptuna. It is in Uruguay. The goal was to create a lasting impact on the Latin American contemporary art ecosystem. It's a playful structure with minimalist interior, functions as a living and a work space, a laboratory of ideas and experimentation. This one's kind of interesting. It's called Ashraya, and this one is in the UK. Like the park in San Francisco where they and the California Academy of Sciences where it has a living roof, right? This was intended as a low carbon home of the highest quality. Concrete panels were used in the construction, the house with a green roof planted with wildflower meadow species, circular retaining walls clad in flint form courtyards. Compressed chalk blocks made with material excavated from the site were locally prepared. The chalk from the site also used to prepare unique clay plasters. Ground source water used to provide an ultra low carbon cooling system. There you go. That's in the UK. This next one is called Labri, and it is in Vietnam. Check this one out. Kind of see it at the edges here. It's got a lot of green things planted on its roofs as well. It's a small house made up of 4 square blocks of different heights, covered in glass and vines and concrete with trees on top. It's only 50 square meters of the 100 square meter site were used for construction. The blocks are rotated and placed randomly and connected by pathways and accessible through fixed ladders. I think this next one is the one for me. It's called Waimaturu. Waimataturu. And this one's in New Zealand. Look at that view. That's pretty nice. Built on 10 hectares on a coastal site of North Island in New Zealand for people actively committed to protecting and restoring ecological values. It follows the natural slope with large windows and spaces that open to the water located on the northern facade. The building, they say, follows the topography of the site, and weathering timber used for facades helps it blend in with the existing trees. Pretty nice inside. And the last one is almost the last one. House of Concrete. I don't know. The House of Concrete is in India. It's a residential project on the coastal town of Alibaug in Mumbai, or in the region of Mumbai, built in a mango orchard in a meandering, fragmented form to preserve the trees. The house was planned as a large column-free studio space with concrete ceiling and 1 bedroom. Concrete house. And the last one is called the Aquenia House. Once again, building things up in the air. I don't know. This is in Brazil. The architects say the understanding that architecture should mold to the terrain and not the other way around was the starting point. The house rises above the ground and the animal and plant life develops underneath it. The program shapes itself by occupying the empty space between the trees. No trees are removed. The topography is not changed. They continue. There you go. Those are the 10 most, what did they call them? Innovative contemporary houses of 2024. Go into the chat. What do you think? Are you liking them? Hold on. I'm going back into the chat. I like the one in the UK the best, says Tammy. I want the treehouse, says Rev. Only Tarzan should have a treehouse. Too much concrete, too cold. The one in India, yeah. What about Ocean Rise? I would worry about that. Absolutely. Yeah. It looks like Gumby from the 60s. I think you're talking about that. This one. It does look like a Gumby house, doesn't it? They should have called it that, the Gumby house. Yeah. Cool. All right, I thought it was interesting to look at. Let's go, before we have to end, let us go to Hide in Your Cave Monday. I do have that. Hold on. There it is, Hide in Your Cave Monday. In case everything that happened over the weekend makes you want to just hide in a cave, I thought today we would go to something that it's not technically a cave, it's more a grotto. And it's still kind of beautiful and kind of cave-like. Sorry, I'll take the comment off the screen. But we're going to Las Vegas to go to the Emerald Cave, which is inside of the Emerald Cove. And here is a picture of it. And it's pretty special. Look at that. Called the Emerald Cave because of its green water that makes everything look super, super green. You can take kayaks into this cave that is in Emerald Cove. So this is a really popular destination located along the Colorado River in the Black Canyon. The Emerald Cave, they say, is small but spectacular with these really interesting green waters. The Emerald Cave does draw thousands of visitors a year, but it's really worth visiting, according to the fine people from Blazing Paddles. They say the Black Canyon is worth exploring if you would like to extend your trip and make the most of a kayaking tour out to Emerald Cave. It's small. It can only hold several kayaks at a time. And so timing is essential to make sure you're not fighting the crowds in this area or waiting in line in your kayak to get in. The lighting also in the cave changes throughout the day depending on when you tour this cave. So you might catch its most spectacular shades of green or no green water at all. All depends on the light. To ensure you get the full experience after that you're after, they say you've got to go on a guided Emerald Cave kayak tour. The certified guide is important to have, and they know exactly when to go when the water will look the coolest and the greenest. So again, this is Emerald Cave in Las Vegas. But I've also read that it's in Arizona, so that's weird. But check this out. More pictures. Emerald Cave. There it is without any boats in the way. And there it is with someone from the outside looking in. You can see it's not super big, but it is super cool. Does it make you want to get in a kayak and go paddle out there and check it out? It looks like Gatorade, says Mo Direct. Yeah, maybe. Depending on the light. Pretty cool. I like it. And so what they say, they call it a tranquil escape. It's barely an hour from the city of Las Vegas. The photos, it's an hour from the Las Vegas Strip, they say. The only way to see this is by boat. But they say it's a lot more accessible than it actually sounds. So I thought it was interesting that it's technically not a cave, but um a cove instead of a cave, although it looks so cave-like to me. Yeah, they say it's very accessible on the Arizona side of the Colorado River, but closer to Las Vegas than any city in Arizona. So some people say you could be intimidated by the fact that it's remote and you can only get there by boat, but that it's actually more accessible than you would think. The combination of factors create the clear, deep jade green water. It's a specific mineral composition and texture in both the canyon walls and the riverbed rocks that react to the sunlight, and a lot of algae on the rocks under the water as well. There's also geothermal hot springs that pump fresh, naturally filtered mineral water into the river. That's pretty cool. So, um, yeah, they say it's a cave and a cove, kinda. That Emerald Cave is the main attraction where you kayak to and get inside, but the cave is on Emerald Cove. And technically, it's not a cave. Emerald Cave, Las Vegas, is a grotto. It's about 20 feet by 30 feet inside. So it's a cave-like grotto on a cove. Can we make it any more complicated? It's more strenuous to paddle, obviously, when it's windy. But they say even if you're a beginning kayaker, you can manage this. This is not a rough trip. It's accessible year-round. Best late October through December and late February through early May. Hey, we're in the right time of the year for that. Nice. But the key thing, as mentioned, is getting there at the right moment. So you have to go when the sun is high enough in the sky that you get it at just the right angle so it reflects down to the bottom of the water, bouncing up and illuminating the cave. The sun has to be directly overhead or close to it for the water to appear bright green. The specific time of day, that changes throughout the year. So, pretty cool. And that is Hide in Your Cave Monday. If you have a suggestion for Hide in Your Cave Monday, I welcome it, as well as suggestions for Travel Tuesday, which we'll do tomorrow, a virtual trip we take together, waterfalls on Wednesday, or trivia categories for Thursday. You can always find me at kim@theafterparty.live. That is the email address, kim@theafterparty.live, the easiest way to find me, and message me any suggestions that you have. And that, my friends, is Hide in Your Cave Monday. All right. I think we can fit in one more story before we wrap it up. So let's do that. How about we do this one? I know we've looked at a bunch of houses, but I thought this is interesting to look at as well. It's in an area that is kind of run down industrial area, and they're trying to build these conjoined towers. And I thought they looked pretty strange and weird looking, almost like liquid metal. These two sweeping towers will form the centerpiece of Napoli Porta Est. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, these are for Naples. These conjoined towers, which will contain offices, including the headquarters for the regional government, will be linked at the base that then swoops up from the ground. Napoli Porta Est is reviving or meant to revive areas in the east of the Italian city dominated by decommissioned industrial buildings. So, according to the designers, the goal is to create an adaptable neighborhood suitable for residents with connections to the wider city and some pockets of greenery around it as well. So you can see they have put some pockets of greenery there. But this wider picture kind of shows you the former industrial park that lays around it with all these old buildings that are kind of out of commission. The problem I have with the conjoined towers is it just doesn't look like it matches the area. It's too modern for this area. You want something that's kind of in keeping, in flavor with the rest, and it just stands out as, I don't know, maybe too new, too modern. This area east of Naples suffers from a lack of integration of its urban fabric, according to the designer, resulting in the detachment from the rest of the city. Isolated and considered unsafe, this district's inadequate public spaces, as well as physical and psychological barriers, stop mobility and social interaction. So, encouraging a sustainable, resilient urban transformation of this derelict industrial zone is the master plan introducing infrastructure capable of adaptation and the creation of new urban parks and the reclamation of the disused railway yard for public use as well. So I love that you would take something not used and make it into another usable, vibrant space. I just don't know about the conjoined towers. Yeah. Anyway, I thought that was an interesting look. Let's end it. Well, almost end it. Did you know sleep is important? So important. Listen to this statistic. Poor sleep endangers the health of two-thirds of the people in the United States. Two-thirds of Americans are getting either too little or too much sleep, and all of that risks our health. If you don't get the right amount of sleep, which is between 7 and 9 hours a night, you have an 29% increased risk of premature death from any cause. What? Yes, researchers reported this in the JAMA Network Open Journal. They say these findings provide new evidence that irregular sleep patterns over a 5-year period can increase the risk of all cause and cardiovascular disease mortality. The research done at Vanderbilt University Medical Center, they looked at sleep data and health data of 47,000 people aged 40 to 79. Participants entered the study between 2002 and 2009, and they completed follow-up surveys between 2008 and 2013. And researchers grouped everyone based on their sleep trajectory, differences between the sleep they reported at the start and then the follow-up. People on a long, short trajectory got too much sleep at the beginning and too little by the end. while short long went the opposite way. Overall, 66% of the participants reported getting too much or too little sleep. Here's the trajectories based different results for different sleep trajectories. 29% increased risk of death from any cause for short long. So not getting enough sleep and then getting too much. 19% for long short and 27% for long long. A 22% increased risk of heart-related death for long long, 32% for long short, and 22% for short long. Basically, it all highlights the importance of maintaining healthy sleep over time. Transitioning from short or long to healthy sleep duration is associated with increased mortality. It underscores, they say, the impact of irregular sleep on health, and also raises questions about the potential for recovery from insufficient sleep and the time required to reverse its effects on our health outcome. So between 7 to 9 hours, that's it. Don't sleep too much, don't sleep too little. Gotta hit a sweet spot, a sleeping sweet spot. All right, we'll end it with something a little happier. How about the lotto of the day? This is based on some good advice. Advice from a friend's uncle leads to a big old lottery prize. This Maryland man said he was at Omega Grocery and Market in Baltimore with a group of friends when a friend's uncle encouraged him to buy a scratch-off ticket. The man said initially he replied he doesn't really play lottery games. No, thank you. He said, play it anyway. And the guy ends up picking. He goes, I didn't even know how to play it. This guy ends up picking a $100,000 crossword scratch-off ticket. He said he decided to simply scan the ticket instead of going through the process of scratching it off and revealing the letters. But the scanner came up with an error message. So he ended up scratching the ticket and showing it to his friend and the friend's uncle to see if he'd won anything. They said, you have 10 words. And when I looked at the game, it said 10 words is $100,000. So the man took his ticket to another store and confirmed his $100,000 prize using a scanner that actually worked. He said, I had to step outside for a minute. I normally don't freak out, but I was freaking out. He said his prize money will go into savings for the time being. And there you go. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Just by listening to some advice. There you go. My hair is all over the place today. So let's go back to the contributions and the offer by Chris from Menlo Park to match up to $100. And the extreme gratitude that I feel for everyone who kicked in today to make that happen. Wes throwing in 5, Gordon throwing in 2. We have SJ Lola with 20 and a little message. Thank you. Hi to you, SJ. Jim with 5. Eileen with 20. Great idea, Chris, she writes. Doug throwing in 20. Doug McNeely, thank you. Mo Direct with 1. Thank you. Every bit helps. Luis with 5. So nice. And thank you for the message. Rev P with a nice message as well and a $5 contribution. Cindy with 5. Northern Tier with 5. Blue Spark with 5. Marilyn with 2. Marilyn with another 5. Long Gone Sam with 5. Love to all. Thank you, Long Gone Sam. And then Chris from Menlo comes in with 100, saying, we love you. We love the show. Thank you so much. You guys, you have no idea how much this was needed. The last 2 months have been short. And so huge thank you for making that happen, Chris, and everyone who contributed that we just went through. I just appreciate it so very much. Tomorrow is Travel Tuesday. Again, please email me, kim@theafterparty.live, if you have any suggestions. And until then, make it a really good day. Try to take some time and do something nice for yourself rather than letting the stress of everything get to you. All right. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
The After Party Live would like to thank the following contributors and viewers like you.
I think it was Wes. I think you're right.